there's not a lot of programs for adults in Canada. Like when I was growing up, and like some of my friends still there, they're like, oh yeah, we go to the public session or this and that.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to have a camp for adults, And
Well, I'm going to actually share with you what happened. So, I had some things happen in my life, that kind of set me down again. I lost my parents, I lost my marriage. And then I decided to move cities. I went to Toronto and just had a really bad experience coaching in Toronto. I don't, coaches were intimidated. They didn't want me. I didn't want my own students. I just wanted to be like a resource coach, right? Help people and stuff like this. And I lost some love for the sport. I found myself like, why am I doing this? Like, if people who don't even know me or have already made an opinion on me, right? Because I'm coming into their club or whatever it might be. And then we did an ISU adult championships in Ottawa 2 years ago, and it was at the Elizabeth Manley Arena. And they had like 7 countries involved. There was about over 100 adults showed up for this competition. And I kind of became a bit an ambassador along with Don Jackson, Lynn Nightingale, some of the great skaters from Ottawa. And I fell in love with skating again. I was so inspired by the adults. I couldn't get enough of it, and I was doing workshops every day. I was available for private lessons too, like during their practice, and I was there to hand out medals and everything. And it just was like a light bulb went on. I went, "These are my people. These are the people that I want to put my time and my energy and my expertise into." And I just fell in love with it. And it wasn't a week later that I sat down with Skate Canada and I said, I want to do this. I want to do this. How can I even start it? So Skate Canada had been wanting to do, a very, an adult clinic, but they've been so busy. They haven't gotten around to doing it and everything. So I pushed for it, and unbelievably 63 registered for it. And it blew my mind. I was actually in Boston doing the experience with Randy Gardner and Elin and all those people, and I got the message while I was there, and I'm like, I had 63 people registered, and they were like, what? It was like that, right? And I just fell in love with it. So I started working with adults here locally. Then, I did the experience. Then I went to Arizona adult camp. I'm going to be doing Nashville and Philadelphia coming up. So I'm just in love with the adults. I am in love with their passion. I'm in love with their embracing of coaching and wanting to learn more. I have a girl that I'm working with here. I live in Collingwood, Ontario, and she drives about a half an hour up here twice a week to work with me. She's 48 and she's working on double axles.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, first of all, I'm embarrassed because I can't do a double axle anymore. but this is, and they're so easygoing. And when I saw the camaraderie, like when I saw all these skaters competing in Ottawa, they were cheering each other on. It didn't matter if it was their country. It didn't matter if it was their competitor. They were supporting each other. They were loving each other. And that was, for me, that's what skating needs to be. It needs to be fun. It needs to be, passionate. It needs to just be supporting each other, through a great thing called skating. And that's really how I got involved with working with the adults. And then that's when I created my class and all these different things. So my focus, I'm still working with little ones, don't get me wrong, but my focus now is how do we get more adult stuff going? How do we get it? So, I've already called Skate Canada. When are we doing the next one? Like, I want to get on this. And they're like, well, we got Worlds and we got Nationals coming up. And it's like, we're a little busy. I'm like, okay, but we got to work on this, right? Because I don't want to lose that momentum and keep those adults feeling like they're just as important as our national team. They really are. And, we've seen synchronized skating just blow up and incredible. This is where we need to get the adult skating.
Yes. I love that. And I know, like, with several coaches, we've talked about it, and adults are there because they love it. It's not because mom and dad dropped them off at the rink and said, okay, you got to stay. They really, they're paying for it. They choose to be there. They're making the
Yeah.
time, and they absorb and they learn so much differently.
There's a love that I feel from them that just makes me want to give more. And and I love the way that they love it. And I think it all started with staying in shape and things like this, but it's more than that now. Like they're realizing that they can do this, and they have. And so as a group, we all need to keep pushing this and making them feel like they're just as important as anybody else. And here in Canada, as you said earlier, there's still that stigma of older skaters can't skate till after 10 p.m. at night, or they can't do this. Well, I call BS on that. I'm sorry, but I do. Like,
Yeah.
they are just as important as anybody else. And so I think hopefully more people like me, and like I work with Randy Gardner, all these people. It's we're seeing the benefits of adult skating, and healthier people, because they're out there, they're exercising, they're doing it. And it's so funny because when I have this one girl that I'm working with, she's out on my session here, and these kids are still working on single axles, and she's whipping around 5 times their age working on doubles, right? And they're all like, so it's an inspiration too. If they can inspire Elizabeth Manley, an Olympic silver medalist, then think of how they can be inspiring our up and coming. This is something they can do forever, right? So and they deal with things better too, right? Like
Life experience kind of helps a little bit. Yeah.
I came fourth, but I was happy with how I skated. And I love hearing that, right? Where sometimes I get the little ones going off crying because they didn't get a medal, right? And it's not it's not life or death for these adults. You know what I mean? It's just something that they're loving. And I have been beyond inspired by adult skating, beyond inspired. It brought me back to the sport.
That is probably my favorite thing. That if it brought you back, then let's push it a little. But yeah, and you're right. You can skate forever. I mean, my dad's in his 80s, and he goes out and he does all these adult competitions and travels around. He was just in Texas for a competition, and I love that. It's one of those. He didn't start skating until my son was like 7 or 8, or maybe 4. I'm sorry, and he said, "Papa, come skate with me." And so then that's when he started skating. He never went skating with me.
I love it.
He's out there now and he's loving it. In the community, like you said, they are so supportive. They have carried me through some of the hardest parts of my life, and I'm so grateful for that adult community. And it's nice to see that supportive connection that they make.
Absolutely,
make lifelong friends.
And I'm grateful that they've embraced me into it. To help them and to do workshops and things like that. Like unbeknownst to them, they don't realize how they've inspired me. They just think this is great. Elizabeth Manley is doing all these adult clinics and she's creating all these great things for us. But I want to, like, I am inspired again. And it's given me a whole new, passion for the sport again. And, for our viewers, please don't get me wrong. It's not that I hate skating or anything like that. But I'm in a point in my life right now where I just want to work with the people that really love it. And it's not so cutthroat, and it's not, being mean or bullying or doing all these things that we see in the competitive world, right? This is just about, giving what, oh God, I hate saying this, but this is my 55th year involved in skating, and I'm alive again. And it's a 100% thankful to the adults for doing that for me.
That's amazing. Yeah. Now, you talked about the book that you wrote, that there was a big chunk of it missing, a very important piece of it missing. Have you ever thought about going back and adding or rewriting or a new book maybe to kind of share that?
I've had a lot of people ask me, are you going to write another book? Are you going to write another book? Because the first book, a lot was missing. My second book was kind of in that Alanis Morissette days. I was a little bitter with my personal life, things like that. but I've gotten to a point in my life now where I'm kind of at peace with everything, and I'm grateful for so much, and I'm, being very mindful and just enjoying my life. I'm remarried to the most amazing man, ever, and it's just like, so I'm starting to think maybe this is the time to start writing another book, like, my real story. And what I've decided
That
is,
fresh lens.
yeah, and I'd like to write it myself, like my words. And so that is on my, in the back of my mind. I mean, I've been through so much with losing my parents, and, the pro skating world was, very long and difficult. And, trying to transitioning into, being Elizabeth Manley into being Liz Manley at home. You know what I mean? There's that transition. And I think there's a lot of things that I can talk about that could actually help athletes. um Transition wasn't easy for me, Amber. Like, I'm in the limelight for so long. I'm the star of Ice Capades, I'm on Champions on Ice, I'm doing TV things, and then all of a sudden it just really quickly, like, my agent retires, people are starting to get old, and then it starts to slow down. And then I see all these other, great skaters, getting so much more than I did back in my day. But
Right.
in the 80s, skating wasn't as big, right? It wasn't as big as it is today. So there was this time where I was dealing with, like, kind of jealousy and loneliness and missing this and missing my skating friends, missing being with the people, touring, doing all this stuff, right? But as I sit here today, I'm like, I'm okay. I'm actually okay with it all now. And, I look at things in a different perspective. Like, I don't react anymore. I take time and I respond to how I'm feeling, and I'm open about how I'm feeling, and it's a good time, I think, for me to do like a memoirs book, things that I've been through that a lot of people might not know. Losing my mom was the hardest thing in my life. It was like, I can't even begin to tell you. And what I ended up doing to avoid feeling the sorrow was I became a workaholic, and then I burned out again. And so, there's a lot of life lessons that I've learned. And
Mhm.
I think it would be great to be able to share them now with people, especially at 58 years old, right? Like, I'm not looking for the limelight anymore. I've done that. And that's the thing with my coaching. I don't coach to get the limelight. I am not about that. I just want to help. I just want to work with kids. I don't care if they can't do a sow cow. It's just to see their little light lit up face, because they get to see Coach Liz come in and, have fun and things like that. So that's where I am in my life. So yes, I think I'm thinking about writing another book.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're definitely going to be looking forward to that.
Okay. Lived in the States for almost 18 years, or not even longer. Yeah, it was even longer than that. I miss the American Thanksgiving so much. It's like the best holiday ever.
Let's go over, if you don't mind, we have a couple questions from subscribers, and if you don't mind, we'll go. So Katie from Niagara Falls wants to know, how do you feel like skating has helped you in other areas of your life? I think.
Yeah. Skating, you know, going to like the normal list that, athletes would say, it really taught me how to commit to things, how to not give up on things. I've always said, if I can't land a double axel, I just don't say well, I can't do it, I'm never going to do it, right? You work on it
Right.
and you try to figure it out. But that can also get you into trouble, because I used to do that with boyfriends. I wouldn't give up until I figured out why. You know what I mean? So there's like pros and cons to that. But no, it really it taught me how to focus. It taught me how to go after goals. It taught me how to just to commit and really work hard. And that all, filters out into real life, and anything you're doing in real life, right? But the best part is when we talked earlier, what it gave me was, and I'm grateful for it, is the platform to really be open and to have mental health in the forefront, and to be able to help others, whether it's athletes, whether it's everyday people. And I mean, I just ended a 2-year contract with the Ottawa Police. I was working with 40 officers on their mental health, right? So, so it's opened up some new avenues of something that I'm just as passionate about, and that's the mental health area. So yeah, I think skating has really given me that, that freedom to be able to go after things that I really want.
Nice, nice. I love that. So Nikki from Nevada, she wants to know, how has the media attention, we kind of touched on that a little bit. How did that affect how you feel about skating?
Um, media, there's good media and there's bad media, right? So, it's for what I went through, it was negative
Right.
because that's all they wanted to talk about. What I was going through. Why is Elizabeth Manley bald? Why is she 55 pounds in water retention? Why is she this way? And, I never felt like it was helping me on my journey to recovery. I felt like it was, setting me back. And so that was why I made decisions back in those days where I wouldn't really talk to media, because I was on a path of trying to get healthier. And, and I look at the media today, it's there's so much going on in the skating world that it's almost like I feel like, it's fake news, right? It's like, kind of that stuff going on. And I think we need to learn in this day and age is just, take our own thoughts, our own opinions, what our own views are. You need to really just focus in on that and not maybe get so caught up on news stories and everything. So, as far as the media and answering her question, it's just, just pick and choose what you want to believe, don't get caught up in it. And, I will just trust what my own ears and eyes will see. Does that make sense?
That is such an important point, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of people forget to really put that thought into it. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
It's almost like don't react, take that moment and respond, right? Like
right.
figure
Yeah.
what is my real response. And when I first got my first office job as a director of the Granite Club in Toronto, right? The number one rule I was told, don't answer an email for 24 hours if it's not a nice email, right? Don't go
Right.
start reacting, right?
Then the bones just start going more and more.
Exactly. And with the world today, especially with social media, it's not hearing it directly person to person. Dialogue can be taken in all different ways, right? So you've just, avoid getting yourself into a position where you meant one thing but other people are seeing it like something else, right? So
Yeah. I think that was such a great way to put it. So thank you.
yeah.
I have one more.
Yeah.
Megan from California wants to know, how do you work through the nerves and all that from like competitions or stressful moments in life? How obviously you've learned well how to deal with that.
Not really. No.
You appear to.
If this will make her feel better, tell her that every time I competed, I thought I was going to throw up, and I would sit there and go, "Why do I do this? Why do I do this? Why do I do this?" My coach used to say, "It's really good to have butterflies. Just make sure they're flying in formation." Not crashing into each other. But what I ended up doing is I removed myself from the situation completely. So, there's this great Greenspan, I can't remember his name, but he did this whole thing on the Calgary Olympics, right? And there was this whole section of like, where's Elizabeth Manley? She's still not in the building. She's, the group before her is on the ice warming up and she's not here now. But what I ended up doing is I removed myself from the situation. I only came in last minute. I didn't want to be around the hoop hall and get myself all nervous and get myself all worked up. Some skaters will go, some skaters will go 2 or 3 hours early. I think that's ridiculous because you're just getting yourself in that atmosphere where you're going to get the anxiety. You're going to start getting nervous, right? My coach always had me put my skates on anywhere but the locker room. He'd find a corner, he'd get a chair. At the Calgary Olympics, I was in a janitor's closet, just to keep me away from preventing those nerves and getting myself over. And then they would talk to me about anything but what was happening. So right up until that warm up, we were talking about how the Blue Jays were doing, how the Toronto Raptors were. We would just talk about things that removed me from overthinking what was going on. And then as a pro, I kind of maintained that same thing. I just kept myself in places where I couldn't hear the crowd too much, or I couldn't, I wasn't caught up in a lot of hustle and bustle of things. And so it's really just taking care of you. It's once again that selfish thing, right?
Right.
But I will say to her that nerves are good. Like, if you're not nervous, then you should worry. Nerves gives you the adrenaline, makes you realize that this is important. This is like what you've worked for your whole life. So as long as you can learn that nerves are good and how can I control them where they're manageable, it's good. But every time I wasn't nervous at an event, I didn't do well. And I started to learn that it was a pattern. And nerves is the adrenaline you need to get through it. So
wonderful. That's great advice. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, so what camps, like you said that you have a camp that you're coming to, I forgot where, I'm sorry.
Yep. So I'm actually doing a smaller camp in Canada on Saturday, just a small one in a town. But I am doing the Philadelphia Skating Club and Humane Society camp with Robbie Kane and Russ Witherby, Ashley Wagner. Hopefully her baby's already out. So I'm doing a camp with them in April. Do you want the exact dates? Looking forward to this one because I'm a huge Robbie Kane fan and I'm a huge Russ Witherby fan. Like I absolutely love him. So Philadelphia camp is May 2nd to the 5th. And that's, I think they've already started to advertise it and everything. And people can call and register for that. What a beautiful rink too. Like that rink is just to die for. I love that arena. So, and that's kind of going back to my old stomping grounds because I worked at Iceworks for almost 7 years. So that's how I know all that gang that's going to be at that one. And then I'm going to be doing the Nashville camp, which is May 22nd to the 26th in Nashville. And I have an Ottawa one. That's February 19th, which is Family Day here in Canada. So if anybody's interested in that one, they can contact the Gloucester Skating Club, which was my old home club. And that'll be at the Elizabeth Manley Arena. So I've got a few up. I was supposed to do the one in Mexico. They're starting an adult camp in Mexico. It isn't working out with my schedule right now, unfortunately. I would have loved to have gone, but I told them next year for sure. So, and then hopefully, I won't be doing the experience this year, which I'm a little sad about, but I've done the last 2 years, the Boston experience. They're doing it in Cape Cod and Palm Springs this year. And, maybe I'll be doing the Arizona one in August again. I'm not sure. So we'll see, but I'm loving them. I'm loving them.
That's so exciting. Yes.
Yeah,
well, we're definitely going to share the dates. So anything that
Perfect.
you post, we'll make sure that we keep sharing with everybody.
Perfect.
Who wants to invite you to say, hey, how can we get you to one of our camps? How do we do
Please. Yes, you can either messenger me.
You know what? They can message you and you can send them.
Tell them to messenger me through Facebook or Instagram or all those. I get all those messages. So I am, just to add on there, I am an American citizen. So if any American clubs want me to come in, it's not an issue at all.
Perfect.
For me to come to the States, because sometimes there's that border issue and stuff like that, but I'm an American citizen as well, and I would love to come do more in the States. I really would. So, and at the Philadelphia camp, which I also did in the Boston camp, I'm going to be running a meditation session. So I do a lot of meditation and things like that. So I'm going to be running a meditation class outside of being on the ice with everybody. So I'm excited about that.
Fabulous. Oh my goodness. Very excited. All right. Is there any other projects that you're working on or that you want to share with us or?
Not really. Just talking about my Ice for Life thing. My stepson is an amazing camera guy. He works for NHL. He does all these things. So I'm at some point want to create a video where, people can, purchase it and they can learn all these, cool exercises and things like that. It'll be fun to hook up with Ashley Wagner because she does the skate and sculpt, which is more like, sculpting and everything like that. It's my class is more just being, breathing and being at peace and mindfulness and things like that. So it's going to be fun to hook up with her. But the only other thing that's coming up big for me is the Special Olympics World Championships are in Calgary in February, and I'll be there for the whole week. So that's going to, it'll bring back a lot of memories for me being in Calgary and to be with such a great group of athletes, the Special Olympians. So looking forward to that.
Fabulous.
Perfect. You've probably seen on my social media that I've been doing a lot of power skating. I've been working with a lot of hockey teams. So that's another thing that I've been doing, which is so much fun. What I love about that is I'm not their coach. I just teach them their skate. So I don't get any flack from parents. So
I love that.
I've kind of got my hands in a lot of different things, but I moved to this great little town right on the water, and it has just been the best move of my life. I have found Liz again. I'm really in a good place in my life and loving what I'm doing. And I'm learning to say no. I'm picking what I want to do now, and really what I want to do are adults. And I like my little hockey guys and, write a book and all these different things. And I'm still doing a tremendous amount of speaking for mental health. So that for me is what I love doing the most. I think is just, being an advocate for such an amazing, a much needed cause. So.
And we're so appreciative of you for all the avenues that you come out. But I mean, you show people that there's life after that diagnosis. There's that light at the end of the tunnel that's so important to feel.
It really is. You can live a very fulfilled, happy life, even when you're suffering. And it's just understanding it's okay to reach out for that help. And I'm a perfect example of it. And you know what? You learn a lot about yourself through this. So instead of looking at it as a really horrible negative thing, understand there's a reason for it. And it teaches you a lot about who you are as a person. And sometimes that's what we need, just to be in touch with ourselves. So, yeah.
And thank you. I appreciate the fact that you explained that it's not go get a cure, go take a pill, go talk to someone for a couple sessions and you're cured. No. This is something, it's a change in your lifestyle, and it's not a bad thing. It's just, we're reworking our path now.
Yes. And you know what? And I always feel you come out stronger on the other end.
Yes.
You really do. So
thank you so much. I've learned so much from you. It's been such a fabulous chat. So thank you. We really appreciate your time.
Hey,
have a blessed day. Happy skating.
You too. Same to you. Okay. Bye.